Good morning. On behalf of the Rescuing Our Communities podcast, my name is Clayton, here today to talk about corruption, as always, misconduct, and to explain just a little bit I want to say it's my conflict with the Richmond County Staten Island District Attorney's Office. I had the pleasure of being on Staten Island yesterday, and I was in ShopRite. I just went to get some stuff to juice and get some food for my dog after going to see a friend. And I ran into a really, really nice Caucasian woman by the name of Miss Carol. I'm on the line, and she says, "I recognize you, young man." And I said, "Okay, from where?" She said, "I see you come up on my Staten Island Facebook groups." Oh, people, okay, that was kind of interesting. I said, "Okay." Um, she says, "Yeah." She says, "You know something?" She says, I feel where you're coming from." That kind of surprised me, people. I wasn't expecting that. Staten Island is like the melting pot for my enemies. They have a lot of connections there. They have a lot of supporters there. People, I'm basically fighting the crowd in the community I came from. And she says, I watched some of your videos one day because I saw something you posted about the district attorney. And she said, "You are right about that district attorney. He is an incredibly corrupt man. You're right. And you're right about the fact that it's Staten Island is a small place, and they work together. It's a conspiracy." She said, "But sometimes when you go on to your ex, people kind of lose it because you two have been going through this for a while. She was even advocating against you." I said, "I'm aware of that." She says, "So the best thing to do is from time to time you need to remind people why you actually have a problem with the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. It's not just you. You're not just picking on these people because that's how they're going to make it look. They're going to want to make it look like you're the one who's picking on them." Now, when this woman said this to me, I kind of totally agreed with her. I really did. I agreed with this woman for one simple reason, which was that sometimes the message can get convoluted when you're angry because somebody violated your rights. Sometimes the message can get confused. Sometimes you can go off course, and that drowns out what's actually important. Now, what's important here? What's actually important here, people, is the civil rights of victims. Victims who are actually violated, victims who are actually in fear, victims who are actually awarded their rights after a court goes through the process of judiciary action and a trial court awards an order of protection. Domestic violence is different from every other aspect of criminal law. Domestic violence has its own set of rules that law enforcement must comply with. They don't only have to comply with these laws because of the statutory requirements. Statutory requirements meaning the stipulations, the regulations, the rules that were written in the statute or law of the state or federal government. No. They also have to follow these laws and these statutory stipulations for the funding that every agency gets for domestic violence. Domestic violence is one of the most, I would say, from research, probably one of the most best funded areas of law enforcement that you're going to see. Domestic violence, and then I would say over that is gun control, because they're definitely on that for guns. So when you have a program that claims to support victims, to advocate for victims, to provide victims assistance, that program is probably 99.999999989% receiving some type of state or federal funding to fund and employ that program. That's a fact. Now, when these programs are involved, they're required by law to protect victims of domestic violence. There's no argument with that. So when it comes to a fact where an agency violates that agreement by attacking a victim, discriminating against them, framing them, violating their civil rights in some way, that agency's funding is now in jeopardy because you're not doing what you're actually telling the state or federal government you want to do. Instead, you're manipulating these funds and you're not actually helping victims. So I've made some very strong accusations regarding the community of Staten Island, a place I grew up. To a lot of people, Staten Island is a small place in New York with an established history of racism and Wu-Tang. But definitely, racism is longer than Wu-Tang. Shout out to the Wu. Staten Island isn't horribly racist. We have a history of violating minorities, killing minorities, falsely imprisoning them. And it's because the system of law enforcement in itself is somewhat of a is based in systemic racism, and that's just the truth. Staten Island has always been controlled by the more successful class of Caucasian citizens within New York. Unfortunately, some of them are ignorant, some of them are stupid, and they still believe that Black people don't have equal rights. Instead of their racism being direct, like it was probably back in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, because it was much more apparent then, now their racism is more indirect. It's more circumvented. It has a more slick mask over it, and it's really enforced on the population of Staten Island and all other places where this happens through law enforcement, cops, prosecutors, and judges. And Staten Island is no different. So I'm going to tell you about my war with the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, why I publicly accuse them of corruption and misconduct, why I publicly speak against the advocates and the employees I speak against, and why I am determined not to stop until legally I get the justice I want. And I am seeking justice right now, but justice is a two-part process, people. Justice involves the court of law, and justice involves the court of public opinion. And I learned this lesson from the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, who first falsely arrested me after I won a final order of protection against my ex-partner after a trial. And then next, tried to use social media to create a public perception that this woman was actually a victim. And although I had won a trial, she had been indicted, and her appeal to the order of protection that I had for life was denied, people, that I was still an offender and that I was lying, despite the fact that a superior court judge had determined that I was completely telling the truth. Staten Island's his systemic racism refused to accept the fact that this Black man could actually be a victim. So what did they do to me? They framed me. They got a corrupt, low-level scumbag detective by the name of Joseph Quirk to compile old complaints from other precincts and use them in his precinct 4 days after I won this trial. They had no allegations that I had done anything to this woman in over a year. And if you check my initial complaint that I was arrested for in March of 2023, that complaint was filed on December 5th of 2002. The allegations that are alleged against me happened a year prior to the report even being filed, people. Now, the report that the complaint that this detective filed was a compilation of other reports that my ex made from other precincts on Staten Island. It wasn't even the 120. What my ex actually went to the Staten Island 120 precinct for was to say I falsely reported her and she had been convicted in the state of New Jersey falsely. Now, that poses many legal issues that the Staten Island DA's office, in its capacity to be systemically racist, easily overlooked by violating my civil rights and violating New York state law and federal statute. See, again, like I said in my last broadcast when I discussed judges and lawyers and how you can actually hold them accountable, the only way you can hold those in law enforcement accountable is through the written documents they submit and the oral testimony they give that's recorded in trials or hearings. You have to take those statements and you have to catch the meat of the statement and then compare it to a professional standard stipulation or a case law or statute, and you have to prove that what that person said or did violated that statute, whether it's state, federal, or an administrative procedure. This is the only way you can catch people who work for your local or state government, because again, people, they are protected by an immunity that you cannot beat by just saying this person did something wrong to me. You have to take them to court and show it. So this detective falsifies this complaint against me, again, for things that happened a year prior to when he was trying to charge me. Ultimately, I'm arrested. I'm charged. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office launches a media campaign, which is they support my ex in to totally defame and to slander me as a man who abused this woman, which I never did. Finally, people, we get to September of 2023, people. They have absolutely no choice but to drop my charges. They tried, people. They did everything they could to force me into a position where I had to take a criminal charge for this woman. But people, at the end of the day, they couldn't do it because my lawyer and myself finally got the transcript of the trial in New Jersey that proved definitively that the allegations of this woman did two things. One happened in the state of New Jersey, thereby New York did not even have the territorial jurisdiction to prosecute me. They didn't even have the territorial jurisdiction to arrest me. The prosecutor's office, as lawyers, knew that immediately and knew they had a huge fucking problem. The next thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that all of my matters that I was charged for in Staten Island had been what's called previously adjudicated. And that means that a judge had heard these allegations and through a preponderance of the evidence, which my ex was able to present to prove her case, he made a decision that she was definitively lying through her damn teeth. And he dismissed her entire complaint. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office knew this. The NYPD detective who arrested me, Joseph Quirk, he knew this. But it didn't matter, people, because I was a black man whose civil rights didn't matter in a systemically racist place like Staten Island. So as I'm telling you, this detective framed me, but he couldn't do it alone, people. See, when someone is falsely arrested and framed to go to prison or jail, it takes the system to do it to them, not just the cop. The cop is the initiating factor. The cop is the jab. The prosecutor is the right hand. And the judge is the left hook. That's how it works. That's the frame. That's the lineup right there. So this cop hit me with a jab. Bam. Next thing comes the prosecutors. The prosecutors is pushing the case on me. Bap, they hit me with a right hand. They charge me with stalking and harassment. We get to the judge, people. The transcript that I gave the judge blocked the left hook. You know what I'm saying? Once I blocked the left hook, I was able to dip out and throw my own combination. And the district attorney's office had to drop the charges. Let's not even say that. I didn't knock the DA out. I didn't hit him with a combination. I blocked the punch, and on blocking the punch, let's just say the referee caught the illegal play, and they had to disqualify the DA. The DA dropped my charges. That's a much better illustration because I didn't hit them. I didn't do anything to them. I don't want to ever use an analogy that makes it seem like I'm threatening the state prosecutor. So this happened to me. Now, before I was arrested, people, the purpose of my call. Actually, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about Dr. Courtney Chase. Dr. Courtney Chase is an advocate, a supervisor and advocate within the Richmond County DA's office's domestic violence center. She was highlighted a couple of days ago as an advocate to watch, as a woman of incredible integrity and those who help and who helps the victims of Staten Island get through their trauma. People, I'm here to tell you, Courtney Chase is full of shit. She's a pathological liar, people. She was 100% one of the co-conspirators who framed me for Francina Evans. Now, that's a hell of an allegation to put on this woman. And putting allegations on someone that you can't prove can be considered two things. Defamation. If I write it as slander, I believe written lies about someone's slander. Got a lot of law in my head, people. And the last thing it could be is harassment. So I decided to myself, Clayton, how can you avoid that? How can you avoid this corrupt woman who's probably going to try to say you're harassing her by exposing the fact that she's a corrupt, pathological liar from saying you're harassing her? And when I was talking to this lady, Miss Carol, back to Miss Carol, she says, Clayton, you should focus more on the DA. And I said, really? She said, yes. She said, you even made a post today about that advocate in the DA's office. And I said, okay, you watch me. She said, I follow you. I said, wow, okay, this was a positive interaction, people. So I embraced it. She said, because if she did what she did to you listening in that call, she sounded like she was being very dismissive. And I did hear you tell her how, you connected with the DA prior to your arrest, and she was totally ignoring you. She said you should do a video where you show what happened with the employee who basically lied to you, and then how she reinforced that lie. That's an excellent idea, Miss Carol. It really is. She says, I'm going to keep watching you and I'm going to support you, young man, because you know something? I didn't know your mom, but I looked into it. People talk about her. She was an amazing woman. And, a lot of that is in you. You're not just, you may not be as you may not have the finesse she has, but a lot of that's in you. And this made me feel really good, people, because I didn't know this lady from a can of damn paint. And for her to say something like that to me, having watched me, having seen what I'm going through in my own journey fighting false allegations and what the Staten Island District Attorney's Office did to me, it felt good, people. It felt good that someone could see me in public and recognize my pain and how my pain had transformed me. So I decided to take this beautiful white woman's advice because she was right. I should make a video that highlights everything that happened. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today, we're going to discuss how the Staten Island District Attorney's Office framed me, how the advocate, Mckenzie, Upshaw, and Courtney Chase reinforced the conspiracy to lock me out of the domestic violence resources of Staten Island. See, people, the arrest, my domestic violence arrest that put an order of protection on me did more than keep me away from my offender. People, I already had an order of protection that ordered her to stay away from me. What the problem was is that Staten Island, Michael McMahon, Victor Brown, the Safe Horizon, because my ex again is very popular on Staten Island. They had been publicly supporting her for 7 or 8 months. So when she lost this trial, they were fucked. Oh my God, she lost. We can't allow this. So, people, this is why I got framed, because they had to charge me and give her another order of protection after New Jersey dismissed her no, what do you call it? No contact order of protection. So they framed me to give her an order of protection to grant her credibility in a case to use against me in New York. I called the Staten Island District Attorney's Office soon as I find out about this, people, and I talked to a woman in January of 2023, exactly 4 months before I was arrested, by the name of Mckenzie Upshaw. And I'm going to show everybody Mckenzie, so we start this first. Let's show everyone Mackenzie's message. Because, people, I believe that this is important. We have to show the truth of what's going on, because if we don't, the enemy will lie and call me a liar. And Clayton Howard is no liar. Clayton Howard's allegations against the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, ladies and gentlemen, are completely true. And he's going to prove it. So, the emails to my right, the text messages, are between myself and Mckenzie Upshaw, an advocate within the District Attorney's Office of Staten Island, who Mckenzie Upshaw was or is the supervisor for. I spoke to Mckenzie Upshaw in January, I think it's January 30th of 2023, and I sent Miss Mckenzie Upshaw all of what you see there, which are copies of orders of protection. Let's go to full screen. These are copies of orders of protection against my ex, Francina Evans, the woman that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office honored for National Crime Victims' Rights Week in 2023 at St. John's University. Francina was actually the person who was honored, and I was the damn victim. Talk about manipulation and defamation and slander. So I send this to Mckenzie Upshaw. And as you can see from the order, it's orders of protection against Francina Evans. People, there's 3 orders of protections on January. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Let's show the audience. This is January 30th, 11 a.m. 3 orders of protection against Francina Evans on January 30th of 2023. This is months before Staten Island District Attorney's Office honored her, and she had that speech where she called me coercively controlling, and they support her. So as we go down, you see that Mckenzie is the gray button. I'm the blue. This is me. Mckenzie is the gray. Mr. Howard. Hi, Howard. Hello. This is me, Howard. Hi, Howard. That's Mckenzie Upshaw. So Mckenzie Upshaw tells me that she received these orders, and it's July. This is the July incident on social media. The reason you are going to the grand jury today in New Jersey. Oh, matter of fact, this was the day I was going to the grand jury when she got indicted, people. An indictment is 25 people that are not me. So if 25 people saw evidence against Francina Evans and indicted her, I'm telling you, people, it's probably because she did it. People get indicted and get off all the time. But people, a victim doesn't get a criminal defendant indicted. A grand jury does. So if I went to a grand jury and testified, and a prosecutor with my testimony showed evidence that got Francina indicted, people, there was definitely complicity there. Do not believe this woman was innocent. She was not. Okay, so Mckenzie says this, and I said, no, I'm going to the grand jury because she burglarized my home in Newark and has been stalking and harassing me for over a year. She's facing burglary and harassment, burglary, harassment, and medicine charges. The July incident, she contacted me and tagged me. I have and had proof then. I responded asking her to leave me alone and stated I didn't want to do anything to do with her. As you see, people, Mckenzie responds. She tells me, okay, because she's being prosecuted on the New Jersey side, it seems that there will be some kind of consequence on her. On the New York side, the police would have to be the ones to determine the order of protection has been violated. I'm hoping she learns from this and stays away from you, but if she comes by your home in New York or by you again, I'd call the police and hopefully they will make a report. This is what Mckenzie Upshaw says to me. So I tell Mckenzie Upshaw, She's filing false police reports on me in New York. She just did it again, and they actually tried to arrest me. Considering I am the victim, there has to be something that can be done other than wait for her to actually score an arrest on me, because people, that's what I was doing. I was reporting my ex for harassing me. She lives in New York. I can report her in New Jersey, but she lives in New York. So New Jersey couldn't actually go and get her from what they were telling me. So now I got to go to New York and report her. But New York is telling me the order of protection isn't valid, even though it's federally protected by the Violence Against Women, the Violence Against Women's Act of 1994. Staten Island are some pathological liars, people. But let's continue. It's like my New Jersey order means nothing. My New York orders mean nothing. As the DV advocate, considering I've been told and showed you're saying you cannot help me. If for some reason, she says, hold on, let me find that exact statement because that kind of broke up, which was freaking annoying. Where the hell is that statement, dude? Okay, it's down here. If for some reason they did arrest you, this is important, people. Remember this. Mckenzie Upshaw, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, the employee that Courtney Chase supervises, this is what she says to me on January 30th of 2023. If for some reason they did arrest you and I get that notification of a case, I can definitely advocate to the DA that this is backlash and discuss the history you shared. Since there's no case in the system right now, there's not much at this time. We would just need something to show the DA in court why this arrest would have happened. Okay. Now, remember that, people, because the rest of this is kind of irrelevant based off the fact that she said that. No. Actually, there is one more thing that's quite relevant. Okay, this is important. Remember, people, the Violence Against Women Act of 1994 states that all states must enforce the conditions of domestic violence restraining orders. It states that domestic violence restraining orders do not have to be registered, even though some states ask you. You actually don't have to register the order for the police and prosecutors to fully support it and effectuate its conditions. But Mckenzie Upshaw tells me this. So the order on the New York side is a limited order of protection. That's true. My New York order was temporary. Although she was across the street, it may not count as a violation to the officer. If they do arrest you, we will get notification and can argue that this is retaliation. If she continues to harass you, make threats of any kind on social media, take screenshots and call the police, because that will count as harassment, people. So what I say is, let's go to the wild part, people. This is important. All of this is important because people, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office has a mission to try to make me look like a liar. And I'm going to show you that the employees of that office are pathological liars. Here it is. So as you can see, people, look, wow, even though under federal law and OPP stipulations are enforceable in all states, it says on the order, basically, it sounds as though you're saying New York State won't honor that New Jersey order. That sound about right? Mckenzie Upshaw says, yes, that is correct. We can only honor orders that have been given in New York due to different jurisdiction. People, that was a damn lie. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that what Mckenzie Upshaw said was a lie. Actually, let's go to a better place that gives people a more detailed description of what happens. I like to use ChatGPT sometimes, people, forgive me. I actually do. ChatGPT is dope. It does help you with many things. So let's go here. Boom, boom. All right, so we're going to go here. We're going to go to ChatGPT. Okay, so we're going to ask ChatGPT the question, is a New Jersey, man, my keys are stiff. Did I spill something on this final? New York State. I'm going to go further, people. I like to ask two-part question. Would prosecutors and police have a duty to enforce the New Jersey FRO if a defendant violates in the state, because we're going to ask a clear question, of New York. That's the question, everybody. So let's read this question to our audience. Is a New Jersey final restraining order valid in New York State? Would prosecutors and police have a duty to enforce the New Jersey final restraining order if a victim violates in the state of New York? Because Staten Island is the part of the state of New York, people. Even though they think they're not, if they think they're their own little fucking kingdom, Staten Island is part of the city of New York, which is part of the greater state of New York. They have to comply with federal law. And as you can see, people, I'm going to blow it up for you what ChatGPT tells you. And it's going to break it down with some federal statutes for you, because, people, that's what fucking matters. Federal statute, nothing else. So, yes, a final restraining order from New Jersey is valid and enforceable in New York State, and law enforcement and prosecutors in New York have a duty to enforce it under federal and state law. Here's why. Federal law, full faith and credit, 18 United States Code Section 226, 2265, under the Violence Against Women Act. People, what was I just telling you? Clayton knows what the hell he's talking about. The Violence Against Women Act. Every state must enforce protection order issued by other states if they were issued by the enforcing state. This means New York must treat a New Jersey final restraining order as if it were issued by a New York court. New York law, New York Family Court Act, Section 1812 and Section 1828, acknowledge and support the enforcement of out-of-state protection orders. Police officers in New York can arrest a person for violating an out-of-state protection order, including a New Jersey FRO. Requirements for enforcement: an out-of-state order like a New Jersey FRO to be enforced in New York. The order must appear valid on its face. The respondent must have had notice and opportunity to be heard. People, both of these happens. The order was active, and my ex had been presented with the order, and the order had been detailed in her when she was actually convicted and the sentence was passed down. What happens if the FRO is violated? The police in New York can arrest the person for violating the New Jersey FRO. Prosecutors in New York can charge the person under New York's criminal laws, such as criminal contempt for stalking, based on the violation. New Jersey may also be able to prosecute the violation depending on the nature of the violation. Examples given: phone calls, digital harassment originating from New Jersey. If you are involved in a situation like this, either as the protected party or the respondent, it's a good idea to register the New Jersey FRO with NY courts. Not strictly required, but it can make enforcement easier. Carry a copy of the order with a quick reference. Consult an attorney, especially if there are ongoing potential violations. People, as I have said, and this was important, people, because I did say this. Let's move. Here we go. As I have been telling my audience, I don't say things I'm not 100% confident of. My order of protection in New Jersey, which protected my infant daughter and myself from my ex-girlfriend, is completely enforceable in the state of New York. But ladies and gentlemen, again, I come from a place where corruption is paramount. So instead of Mckenzie Upshaw doing her job and actually enforcing my order of protection like she was supposed to, what she actually did, ladies and gentlemen, was lie to me. And she lied to me, She lied to me. It's still there? Oh, it's not there. Damn. All right, people. We have to refund my thing. Shoot. Frick. How the hell we get this back? Replace, move. I can't replace it. God damn. Hold on, people. I don't know how the hell I just did this. Maybe I'm going to have to cut it off and cut it back on. Okay, stop sharing. And we're going to cut it back on. I'm sorry, people. I usually X out. I never remember how the hell to get this thing back up. There we go. We messed up. There we go. All right. So again, people, I don't know what happened. I was the victim. I just went through this trial for months. I'm told that my order of protection is enforceable in every state I go to where I may have a problem with this woman. And this employee, Mckenzie Upshaw, in the district attorney's office of Staten Island, lies to me and tells me that my New Jersey final restraining order is not enforceable in New York. And people, you just saw that from the text message of Mckenzie Upshaw. Now, people, we're going to go even further because I like to educate my audience. Again, people, I'm not an asshole. I like to educate and empower. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let my audience hear a phone call from Mckenzie, because this is about spreading the truth, people. It's not about spreading lies. We have to spread the truth for a purpose, people, because the truth is the only thing that matters.
The DA's office.
Hey, good afternoon. May I speak to Mckenzie Upshaw?
This is Mckenzie.
Hey, Mckenzie. We spoke a couple of months back in January. My name is Clayton Howard. Do you remember me?
Yes, Mr. Clayton. How are you?
I'm okay. So a couple of months ago we spoke. I was trying to get some help regarding a final order I have against my ex. I'm pretty sure you're quite familiar with the situation. Anyway, during that conversation, you told me if something happened, I could call back and you would advocate for the DA, considering I had all of that paperwork against her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, something did happen. I think I sent you my order of protection that was issued December 1st. This woman walked into the 120 4 days after, lied and said on December 1st, at the exact time we were in court, I called her and told her, if I can't have you, no one can.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the prosecutors in that office actually trumped up a misdemeanor violation against me and charged me with stalking and harassment. They also charged me with an offense, Mckenzie, that happened 3 months before this woman even petitioned to have the general order against me. A completely trumped up charge. I do have an attorney, and I'm trying to do everything I can to show the DA's office the truth, which is that I already have a decision that this woman was harassing the hell out of me, and she still is. But I'm still having the same problem, which is, they're trying to act like my order doesn't exist, even though it's registered in Richmond County and it's 100% legal.
Okay.
And I don't really know what to do, Mckenzie. I'm at my wit's end.
Got it. 1 second, just taking a look.
No problem.
Okay, so your attorney is John Rappaway?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if is the proper name Rappaway?
I'm sorry?
Is the proper last name Rappaway? That's how you pronounce it?
Yes. That's
okay.
the proper last name.
Do you know if he's spoken to the attorney we have here, Gabriella?
He said he speaks to her off and on, Mckenzie. Honestly, he's telling me that my ex has pretty much free reign to walk in and out of there. She knows all the detectives. This Gabriella called him the other day and asked him, was there anything I would take to cop out for this? And Mckenzie, I did not do it. So obviously the answer was hell no.
Right.
But he is trying to talk to her, but they seem hell bent on Mckenzie on trying to push this charge against him. And
right.
I didn't do it. We had the discovery. There's no proof of a phone call. There's no recording. There's nothing. Again, they charged me with something that happened months before she petitioned. And then the last thing is they charged me with actually the judge's order being posted to social media because they wouldn't help me, like I told you before, the 123 actually get the property back. And I got charged with all of that, even though the cops took me to the house to serve the order of protection. I do not understand what the hell they're thinking in this office. But he's telling me that I need to call and find out what's going on, using my rights as a victim to get an advocate to find out why they're not arresting her, because literally they arrested this woman 2 weeks ago and they 343'd her and let her out the back door. I submitted proof of a phone call. I had everything that substantiated the violation, but they will not arrest this girl. They will not honor this order of protection for anything, much like you said.
Got it. Okay. So I see that we had Ms. Francine as a victim at one point, but I know that we're not able to speak to her because of the case that she has with you. And 1 second, let me take a look.
Now, I want to pause that for a second because I want my audience to know something. Even though this woman tells me that the DA's office is not allowed to speak her, Staten Island has an annual event for National Crime Victims' Rights Week. It actually just passed a few days ago. The funny part is right after I had this conversation with Courtney, with Mckenzie Upshaw, and next I'm going to play Courtney Chase, my ex was at that event with the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. And anyone from Staten Island who has followed this situation, all you have to do is go to the social media account of my ex. And she's standing in front of a banner for National Crime Victims' Rights Week at their event like this, people. So basically, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office was lying to me to allow my ex to come to their events and pretend to be the victim, even though Mckenzie Upshaw is about to admit that she knows I have always been the victim. Please listen.
Okay, but you're saying that Mr. John told you to reach out to us?
Yes, he did. He said to call the Victim Advocate Services, and
that's
he said,
very odd.
he's saying that nobody will give him an answer why they won't honor my order. They called us last week, told us she had been picked up on the violation. When he checked, they let her out the back door in 343. Again, as you know, she got convicted, yet they're putting her up and having her speak at St. John's as a victim of domestic violence. When I was the one who received the order, she got convicted. I don't know what they're trying to pull, why they're trying so hard to make Francina seem like the victim. But Mckenzie, we got to be fair. The whole U.S. justice system is based on the trial process. If we went to trial and I was awarded the order, the office should be respecting the order and not allowing her to continue to come after me. This is ridiculous.
I got it. Okay. You know what? So I'm speaking to Gabriella, who's the attorney here.
Yes.
I'm very sorry that Mr. John told you to do that. That's really not appropriate. He should be speaking to the attorney. So I'm gonna have Gabriella reach out to Mr. John, because either way, right? If she's saying something occurred, and we decline to speak to her, then they might be no longer going through with that case. But we need to keep you updated on that, and you shouldn't have a case either here. If she's accusing you
I
of
shouldn't
something,
have a case
but
there.
that needs to
I
be
should not have a
communicated
case there.
between the
Mckenzie
two.
Upshaw.
So I just let Gabriella know that I need to speak to her. I'm gonna ask her to reach out to John.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but is there anywhere I can go to honestly get an advocacy service or someone? Because I've been everywhere, Mckenzie. I've been to your office, obviously, the Family Justice Center. Everyone denies me, and I'm the one with the actual decision.
Exactly. So what has to happen is the reason that they're denying you is because when they look you up, they don't know the background story that we kind of know. When they look you up, they just see you there as a defendant. And so unfortunately, sometimes people do try to go through these services when they actually have committed a crime against someone. So that's all they're seeing. So that's what I'm saying. If these cases are going to be knocked down so that you're just placed as a victim, we need to make that clear on record so that when we're sending you to these places, they're making referrals, they can just accept you. But until it's no longer showing that you're a defendant, it's a good chance that these services are going to not accept you. Now that's only on our side. But Mr. John, he should have services because technically he's your defense counsel. He should have services that you should be able to go to.
He has nothing. He tells me that they're all in the DA's office. And he actually told me something's going on because they won't do anything to her. Mckenzie, I swear, I really don't know what's going on. I have no clue why they are after me so bad for this girl, and she got convicted. That's what I don't. It's not like I'm lying, and this is a TRO.
Yeah.
She went to trial. She lost. She got convicted. They gave me a lifetime no contact order. The same day that she gets convicted, she walks into 120 and tells them that I called her. They don't even investigate. They just come after me.
Yeah. Okay.
I spent 4 days in jail for that crime. They literally arrested me in family court after my attorney made a surrender arrangement for the day after family court. Her and her family are in there. They're trying to take pictures of me for social media. The detectives in the 120 Mckenzie never brought my paperwork to criminal court, so they actually left me in the cell 3-4 days just so that they can bring me to court. I don't mean to keep complaining about it, but as you can probably understand, I'm just tired. I want this over.
Of course. I understand the frustration on that.
I did try to ask John about possibly us speaking to the DA because I figured maybe if we come in with all of the stuff they don't have, considering I do have this order of protection that was issued the same day she filed this complaint, they would listen. But Francina knows Mr. McMahon quite well. I have a bunch of text messages from her with her threatening me that Michael's going to arrest me for cyber harassment. Mckenzie, I just got arrested for harassment. I'm trying to explain to him, like, John, this is not a typical situation. This girl is politically connected. She knows McMahon personally. This is why this happened. And he's like, well, you know, something's going on. He directs me to a civil attorney. And Mckenzie, that just causes more problems because now they think I'm trying to sue him and be a jerk, when the truth is I just wanted to leave me alone.
People, did you hear what I just told this woman? So I wasn't even trying to fucking sue the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. Right now, there's a federal complaint lodged against the Richmond County DA's office. People, they tell you I'm malicious. They tell you I'm a liar. They tell you I'm after revenge. You hear me tell Mckenzie Upshaw, an employee of the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, that I don't want to sue. I just want them to help me stop my offender. Wrong pipe. Excuse me. You hear her admit that I'm the victim, people. You hear her admit that I'm the one who's not receiving benefits because I've been labeled in the system as a defendant, even though I'm not. You hear her admit that the Richmond County DA's office admits to the history of Francina Evans and knows that she's stalking me. People, how the fuck did I get arrested? How did I get prosecuted? Why are they still denying me domestic violence services, counseling, or interaction with the Richmond County DA's office, even though an employee of the Richmond County DA's office is on tape admitting that I got framed by Francina Evans, the woman that they honored, people? Why is that? I'm a liar, people. Why is this employee of the district attorney on Staten Island admitting that I was framed by Francina Evans? That's the question you need to ask yourself. The Staten Island district attorney will tell you that I'm attacking them. People, I'm attacking the office's credibility. Yes, the hell I am, because they're not credible. They're unethical, they're pathological liars, and they're corrupt. I begged, you hear me, I begged this office for help. I begged them. I complied with every regulation. I was professional. I was respectful. You don't hear me disrespect Mckenzie Upshaw one time. I'm a complete gentleman. I'm polite to her. And I actually thought she was a good person who was truly doing her job. Listen to how she's talking to me, people. She's telling me I'm right. She's telling me Francina Evans is stalking me, that I should have never been criminally charged. People, what the hell happened? Let's continue.
Understood.
So if there's something you can do, I don't know, because you call Gabriella, she's probably going to call John, and John's going to call me and tell me that he's going to have it under control. But he does. He does not have it under control, and I am scared to.
I mean, what you could. I mean, unfortunately, that's how it is, just because he's the one representing you. So Gabriella can't represent you because this is on our side and that's on his case. Now, what you can always do is the next time on court, if you're not satisfied with how he's representing you, you can always ask for...
Now, notice something, people. I'm complaining to her about the district attorney's office denying me domestic violence resources. She tells me my attorney has domestic violence resources. People, attorneys don't have fucking domestic violence resources. Attorneys have resources to keep you out of jail. That's what criminal attorneys do. They don't have advocates and counselors in their office. That's what Safe Horizon, that's what the Family Justice Center, that's what the district attorney's advocates are. They are there to help victims of domestic violence. Your lawyer is there to get you out of criminal charges or represent you before a judge. Your lawyer is not a fucking DA advocate, a DV advocate, excuse me. So the simple basis that Mckenzie's telling me to go to my lawyer for domestic violence assistance, come on, people. They're a domestic violence program. She's admitting on a damn tape recording that I'm the victim, and she's denying me resources. Come on, people. How is this not corruption? Well, we got to continue because we got to get to Dr.
another
Chase.
attorney, but that would be up to you.
Yeah, but I paid him. That's the problem. And she's been acting so long. I'm thousands of dollars in debt with legal fees. Literally, since the day I've won this FRO, I'm $35,000 in legal debt because she started filing police reports on me in Staten Island, Middlesex County, Union County. She went all over every place other than that's criminally charging her because she's facing criminal charges in Essex. Every place other than the place that convicted her, she went to and filed police reports on me utilizing domestic violence laws as a woman. And every place gave her complaints. So now I'm in court in Middlesex under the guise that I filed false police reports on her, the same thing that she's filed in Staten Island. Literally, the complaint she filed in Staten Island, she has filed 5 other places. Now, I never lied on her because she got convicted in family court for the things I accused her of. But no one bothers to check to see what she got convicted under my FRO. They simply bring me to court and they start charging me while she sits there and cries and lies and says I beat her, which I never did. I just need some way, like, to get this to stop where then the prosecutor themselves are not trying to help her, because that's what's empowered her. That Staten Island will not do anything, and she lives on Staten Island, so that's kind of like her fortress of solitude. She does what she wants. If I file a report, they close out my report, or the DA's office closes out her violation. So she basically has immunity, even though I have this order and this decision against her.
Right. Right. I see. Possibly they'll let you come in. Mr. John would have to be present to speak with the ADA to get kind of a consensus of what's going on, but he would have to be present.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me give her a call. You know, she won't call you, but most likely Mr. John will call you, and you know, hopefully he just tells you the right thing.
I hope so. If you could even relay that to her, that he said he was willing to sit down and show you guys what's going on, because there's no way they should be charging me when I just won this order against this girl. Like, it's ridiculous.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Have a good day.
Now, people, it gets worse, people. It definitely gets worse. And now you hear that call. Actually, there's a call before that. I'm wrong, people. But let me keep you engaged by telling you what happened after this call. So now I made this call thinking that I did the right thing, everybody. Thinking that, you know, I was going to be granted access to at least the DV advocate for some services. But again, people, I was wrong. And I'm going to explain to you how I was wrong. About 25 minutes after this call, I get a call from my attorney who's mentioned in this recording, Mr. John Rappaway. And Mr. John Rappaway says the following to me. He says, Clayton, did you call the DA's office? I said, yes, I did. He says, why? I said, because, John. I said, John, what do you mean why? He said, John, he says, Clayton, you know, the woman said that you're harassing her. I said, what? He said, Clayton, yeah, man, you can't call them, harass them. I said, she's fucking lying. So I sent him a copy of this recording. He says, I'm going to listen to it. He hangs up. He calls me right back. He says, Clayton, I'm going to call you right back. So he calls me back about an hour later. He says, Clayton, I don't know what the fuck is going on with them people, but I just chewed that DA a new asshole because I told her you recorded that conversation, and not anywhere in that conversation do you threaten that woman. You're literally begging her for help, and she's sitting there telling you that they're going to help you and that they're going to do the right thing. So what did you do wrong? Exactly my freaking point, people. Hold on, because we got to... Hold on. Because I got to find the other recording of Mckenzie Upshaw before I can play that recording. So actually, I don't got time for all that shit, people. Let's just play. Let's get to the meat and the gravy of this. So we're going to now play the tape of Courtney Chase. That's what we're going to play now. We're going to go to Facebook. We're going to share this tab, which came up. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Operation Rock. And now we're going to go to the video of Courtney Chase. So you can hear what Courtney Chase said to me after my next phone call with Mckenzie Upshaw.
It's not. How can I help you?
Hey, who am I speaking with?
My name's Courtney. How can I... Hello?
Hey, good afternoon. Is this Mckenzie?
Now, why do I say is this Mckenzie? Because I just got off the phone with Mckenzie, who actually hung up the phone on me. And when I called back, Mckenzie Upshaw answered. And this is the conversation that I've played on Facebook.
It's not. How can I help you?
Hey, who am I speaking with?
My name's Courtney. How can I help you?
Hey, Courtney. So
Hi.
I am a victim that has a final order of protection against someone that has kind of been ignored by the office, and the person is still harassing me.
What's your name?
My name is Mr. Howard. Last name, first name Clayton. I've been calling for like a year.
Okay.
And no one has ever called me back. I talked to Mckenzie, I think it was back in January through text message, and I kind of gave her this order and everything. And at first she tried to tell me information that was actually false. She told me that the order of protection was not valid in New York because it was out of New Jersey, but it actually is because I registered it in New York. But she did tell me that if I was ever arrested by this woman because she saw the evidence that the woman was after me, that she would advocate to the DA's office because, you know, you guys got a million cases. There's no way they would know the backstory behind me and this woman when it came up. However, on May 16th, I was arrested because the day this woman was convicted, December 1st, she went into the 120 and lied and said while we were in court that I called her and said, if I can't have you, no one else can. The day I want to...
And you still have an open case right now?
Pause. People, I found the recording I need to play, and I think it's important I play it before I play this actual recording with Mckenzie Upshaw. Now, in the recording I'm about to play, which is right here. Oh, shit. I fucked up, people. I'm sorry. There we go. In this recording I'm about to play, this is the recording that happened prior to the interview you see with the picture of Courtney Chase. Let's play that so everyone is aware. This is me calling Mckenzie Upshaw back about a week later to try to discuss what she told me on the phone, because I spoke to my attorney and my attorney told me that he is not a DV advocate and they were lying. So I called them back trying to speak to Mckenzie Upshaw. This is this phone call, the phone call that happened immediately before the conversation I posted yesterday with Courtney Chase. Please listen.
Hi, it's the DA's office.
Hey, I'm sorry. Good morning. May I speak to Mckenzie?
May I ask who's calling?
Mr. Howard?
Mr. Howard.
So people, as you heard nothing.
Hi, it's the DA's office.
You heard nothing. And the reason you heard nothing is because Mckenzie hung up the phone on me. Mckenzie Upshaw hung up the phone in my ear, when I called her this day trying to get a follow-up to the phone call we had. So when I called back,
Yes, I do.
when I called back, this happened.
Hello?
Hey, good afternoon. Is this Mckenzie?
It's not. How can I help you?
Hey, who am I speaking with?
My name's Courtney. How can I help you?
Hey, Courtney. So
Hi.
I am a victim that has a final order of protection against someone that has kind of been ignored by the office, and the person is still harassing me.
What's your name?
My name is Mr. Howard. Last name, first name Clayton. I've been calling for like a year, and no one has ever called me back. I talked to Mckenzie, I think it was back in January through text message, and I kind of gave her this order and everything. And at first she tried to tell me information that was actually false. She told me that the order of protection was not valid in New York because it was out of New Jersey, but it actually is because I registered it in New York. But she did tell me that if I was ever arrested by this woman because she saw the evidence that the woman was after me, that she would advocate to the DA's office because, you know, you guys got a million cases. There's no way they would know the backstory behind me and this woman when it came up. However, on May 16th, I was arrested because the day this woman was convicted, December 1st, she went into the 120 and lied and said while we were in court that I called her and said, if I can't have you, no one else can. The day I want to...
And you still have an open case right now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm Mckenzie supervisor. What I'd suggest, just to protect yourself, is you have to speak to your defense attorney. We can't speak with you if you have an open case.
I did.
Okay.
And he told me that, you know, he doesn't have any domestic violence resources. He said under federal and state law that I am supposed to be allowed to work with advocates. The problem is that my ex is really well known in your office, and your office has refused to help me with this woman.
Well, also the issue is, again, you have an open case, so we're unable to speak to you.
I didn't have an open case before. I just got an open case. I've been calling for a year. I was not a defendant until May 16th. I was the victim. And every time I call the office, I have text messages from Mckenzie. I have emails from you guys. You guys would not help me. I'm not looking for trouble. I just need this woman to stop, and I need this order honored because it's federally protected and it is valid.
Well, the way the order is honored is that's through PD. That's not through our office.
Yeah, PD arrested her 2 weeks ago, and your office let her go.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, people. There's two parts to that conversation. So, people, again, how did all of this happen? How is it that I, a person who the Staten Island District Attorney's Office wants to convince the community at large is a pathological liar, have all of this solid evidence against this office? How can I show you that I contacted an advocate in the Staten Island DA's office 4 months, before I was ever arrested, and that this advocate knew I was the actual victim of the domestic violence history with myself and Francina Evans, was aware she had been convicted, was aware that she was filing false reports on me, and actually lied and told me that an out-of-state New Jersey final restraining order was unenforceable in New York because it was from out of state, and only New York orders could be enforced in Staten Island. This is what this advocate told me. The next thing you heard was me call her back after my arrest 4 months later. And she agreed with every word that I'm saying now, that I was always the victim, that she knew about this, that she would advocate to the prosecutor, and that something should be done because guess what? I'm the victim and this should have never happened. She also tells me to go to my lawyer for domestic violence resources. Now, everyone, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office receives federal funding to aid domestic violence victims. Why are they lying, telling the actual victim of a domestic violence offense that an advocate knows is the truthful, actual trial-ordered victim? Why are they lying, telling me they have no resources for me and that I need to go to my attorney? Why am I being listed in the system as the defendant when the District Attorney's Office of Staten Island has known for over 6 months that I am the actual victim? People, why did they honor her after the conversation with Mckenzie Upshaw? People, why was the Staten Island District Attorney's Office still supporting Francina Evans if employees and supervisors in the office knew that her story was a lie? What is going on, people? I'll tell you what's going on. A conspiracy to deprive me of my civil rights under United States Code 14, United States Code 1986. They conspired to deprive, that's 1985. They conspired. They worked together. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people got together from different agencies in New York, the NYPD, the Richmond County District Attorney's Office, and Safe Horizon, and they conspired to do things to defame me and legally bar me from utilizing the domestic violence resources that would have helped me fight my ex-girlfriend. Mind you, they empowered her with all of them. This is why she had access to so many advocates. This is why she was able to attack me, because I was being denied the resources and they were being given to her, despite the fact that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office knew I was the actual victim. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a vengeful man. I'm a man who's after justice. Michael McMahon framed me. He knows who Clayton Howard is. Clayton Howard is the son of the late Reverend Maggie Howard, who knew Michael McMahon very well, people. You can check my Facebook page. Matter of fact, people, let's go back to my Facebook page because I'm an authentic brother, very authentic, people. I don't play certain games. You tab. Let's see if I can bring it back up. Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, that's actually interesting. I learned something new today. Okay, let's X out of that. Let's go to my gallery. Let's see if I can find this thing in my gallery I want to see. Because I want to show everyone something. Because I say things, people try to claim I'm a liar, and I'm actually not. So what I want to do is I want to show, because I like to show and prove, I want to show that my mom did know Michael McMahon very well, actually, very well. She always knew he was a piece of shit, though, but she tolerated him because she knew he was a necessary evil. So here is my mother, the late Reverend Maggie Howard, as you can see, my beautiful mama. I love you, mama. God, I miss my mother, people. This shit, it hurts every day. Looking at my mother's smiling face is something that makes me cry every time I look at her. I'm actually tearing now. Let me just hurry up and get through this. So that's my mother right there. That's District Attorney Michael McMahon right behind her. The next woman to her, Michael McMahon's left is Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State and presidential nominee. And this beautiful sister right here to the left of Hillary Clinton is the former Miss Sandra Brown, the former wife of the Reverend Pastor Victor Allen Brown, the same man who Francina Evans went to because I knew the history between Pastor Brown and this beautiful woman right here, who is his ex-wife. Now, in confidence and in privacy, I told Francina about the things I knew that her pastor did to this woman who is like an aunt to me. When I broke up with Francina, she got mad and went and told her pastor, who took her to this racist bastard who's standing next to my mother and tried to destroy me for things that they knew I didn't do just because I blew up the past history of the pastor. Now, people, this might sound insane. And as you can see, again, for everyone who calls Clayton a liar, that's my mother right there in the Burgundy. That's Staten Island District Attorney Michael McMahon. See, Michael McMahon knows Clayton Howard very well. Michael McMahon has been responsible for violating the civil rights of Clayton Howard for at least 5 years. First, it happened with Gwendolyn Carr, when I was falsely arrested for allegedly stealing Gwendolyn Carr's car, even though I paid this disgusting woman almost $2,000 to purchase the car and had proof I paid her. I gave this to the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. They manipulated my grief and the passing of my mother to delay the case so long and eventually give me an ACD so I would cop out and they could keep a conviction. They knew I was innocent. They knew I paid Gwendolyn Carr, but they utilized my grief to force me in a position so I would just want to stop going to court, and I took it. And people at the time, I was less legally savvy. I did just want it over. I took this bullshit ACD for something I didn't even do, people, because I paid that scumbag Gwendolyn Carr. I paid her, and I can prove it. So this is why I challenge her in public, people. This is why I tell people that Gwendolyn Carr is a fraud. She's not an advocate for black men. She's a pathological liar who used the death of her son to manipulate the city into a check and some clout for herself. She's a fucking scumbag, people. How do you have two innocent black men who paid you for the vehicle you allegedly leased to them arrested because they won't pay your toll bill? That's what Gwendolyn Carr did. Now, did we refuse to pay her toll bill? No, we just asked for a copy of the bill to see what the tolls was that we were paying for. Gwendolyn didn't want to do that because the truth is she's a scumbag, and she was trying to manipulate the situation further to get her own toll bill paid with the toll bill that we owed for this van. So what she did when I refused to pay it until she provided the toll bill was that she went to the cops and she lied on me, told the cops that she didn't know who I was, that had never met me, and that I had taken her car and never returned it. People, I was able to prove to the DA's office that my mother knew Gwendolyn Carr for over 15 years, that I knew Benjamin Carr, the late Benjamin Carr, Gwendolyn Carr's husband, and that I also knew Lottie or Eric Garner. I proved all of this to the DO. I've known this family for 15 years. What is she talking about? People, despite all of this, the Richmond County DA's office refused to drop my charges. People, Staten Island's district attorney is fucking corrupt. They are unethical. They frame people. They lie through their teeth, and they utilize the media to make the office appear to be something it's not, which is an ethical, credible place where justice is actually served. Justice is not served in the Staten Island DA's office. Justice is denied. Justice is denied to innocent victims who just want their rights enforced, people. They frame the innocent victims to make marketable victims who are offenders. And people, if you don't believe me, just look at what they did with my ex-girlfriend. She was an offender. She had just been indicted. There was 3 orders of protection against her. How do you have this woman on stage speaking about being a victim of domestic violence when she has all of this legality against her that says she's an offender, people? You know how? Because she looks better on the totem pole than me as a black man. They wanted her so they could manipulate the public. She's a pretty girl. She speaks well. They want her up there to make it seem like, you know, we help the women in jeopardy. People, they frame people. And the reason I fight the Staten Island District Attorney's Office so hard is this, and this is a valid point that everyone needs to take into account. If the Staten Island District Attorney's Office can frame me for a simple domestic violence offense, how many other of hundreds of thousands of men and women on Staten Island have they framed? People, I can definitively show how the Staten Island DA's office created a fraudulent complaint, maliciously prosecuted me, and then manipulated and conspired with employees and agencies to lock me out of every resource that might help me stop their criminal charge. People, I can show it. Why can't they show you that I'm lying? Why can't Francina Evans show you something definitively that shows you I lied on her? People, she has nothing. Everything that she's acquired against me has been through her testimony by manipulating racism and gender bias in other courtrooms after her conviction, people. This is a fact that I'm going to prove the next time I go to court, because people, believe it or not, she may have a new boyfriend and appear to be happy on social media. That bitch is still stalking me, people. I just got served. Is it over here? No, it's not. Forgive me, audience. But like I showed in another broadcast, people, I just got served with a complaint the other day. I got served in New Brunswick, which was about an hour from Staten Island the other day, because my ex has been locked out of every courtroom through the vexatious litigation. So she just keeps going to new counties where these low-level municipal courts will charge black people to get money for the municipality. So she'll go and charge me with harassment in New Brunswick because she knows a racist prosecutor is going to prosecute it for her. And people, despite the fact that I have a New Jersey final restraining order that's supposed to keep this crazy heifer away from me, they prosecute me, people. No proof. No proof it even happened in the jurisdiction, people. I got to go to court for 4, 5, 6 months for something this woman did to me that was dismissed somewhere else that she wants to get convicted of. People, how is that justice? People, how as a victim can I go to the DA with proof that a victim lied to them and they refused to arrest her because their dumbasses honored her and don't want the embarrassment of the arrest. See, that's what it's all about, people. The office of the Staten Island District Attorney is corrupt. Michael McMahon is corrupt. Darren Albanese, forgive me, I don't even know this man, but I know for a simple fact that Darren Albanese knew the truth. He knew that I was the victim. He talked to my lawyer. He saw the transcripts. Why would Darren Albanese refuse to charge that Francina Evans? Why is it that Staten Island to this day refuses to honor that New Jersey order of protection and continues to block me from domestic violence resources while empowering my offender who was convicted before me, people? How does that work? I don't understand how it works, but I'm hoping that the federal courts expose Staten Island for what it is, and then everybody sees how it works, which is that Staten Island is corrupt, biased, and racist, and it's a horribly oppressive judicial system and criminal enforcement system, and it needs overhaul, people. It needs change. It needs the swamp needs to be drained. The scum and the muck stuck at the bottom of the fucking fish tank needs to be scooped out, and that scum and muck is people like Michael McMahon. Men who are so racist and so biased that their pride and their ego won't allow them to respect victims that they even if he accidentally did it, people. Because I'm a fair man, and I can easily sit back and say, you know something, it was a tricky situation. They didn't know better. People, I could have done that if they had at least owned they wronged me. To this day, they won't own they wronged me. To this day, they ignore me. To this day, they deny me the resources of the fucking federal government that they are paid for something I never did, people. So yes, I advocate against the Staten Island DA. I advocate against the corruption of Michael McMahon. And people, I'm not going to stop until I get justice and expose what these disgusting bastards did to me, which was they framed me, everyone. They framed me for a liar that they knew was lying just so they could keep their image and protect their domestic violence, I want to say, community from the embarrassment of the fact that they supported a pathological liar and honored her. That's the truth, people. Again, people, this is my late mother right here. My beautiful late mother who did so much for the borough and the community of Staten Island. So much for this racist bastard over her right shoulder, her left shoulder, who she considered a friend, people, she considered a man who had some integrity, people. And you want to know the truth? Michael McMahon has no integrity. Michael McMahon is a pathological liar and a racist scumbag, people. He uses black people to put himself in position, and then once he's in position, he goes after the one on lower levels to satisfy his racist ass need to oppress our people. People, I can't let this guy get away with what he did to me. I can't live with myself. I can't sleep if I stop pursuing Mike McMahon and the justice that I require from this situation. I shouldn't have to shut up and not talk about what happened to me. People, I was falsely arrested and stalked for years. I got to shut up about it. If a woman's raped, she has the right to talk about it for the rest of her life and advocate against that guy. If a woman's physically assaulted and physically abused, she can talk about that shit with a man for the rest of her life, label that guy, and post his pictures all over the news, all over the social media, calling that man an abuser, and nobody will fuck with her. And do you know why? Because she's a victim. And a victim has the right to advocate against their offender. A victim has a right to protect themselves and speak out against someone who has violated them. Guess what? I have an order of protection against Francina Evans after a judge reviewed both sides of the situation and decided that she had been violating and harassing me. People, I'm a victim. Michael McMahon didn't have the right, he didn't have the power to deny a judge's order that labeled me a victim after a trial was heard. He was wrong for that. The Staten Island DA's office is wrong for refusing to prosecute my offender. And people, until they do prosecute my offender, until they compensate me for what they did, I'm going to advocate, I'm going to post, I'm going to expose everything about every corrupt advocate and every prosecutor that I fucked with in that office, because you're corrupt and you should not be in that job. If you're lying to victims about orders of protections they actually fucking won, what kind of sick person are you? You claim to be an advocate that's protecting victims, but you're lying to victims so you can protect your friends. That's the truth, people. And that's why I fight the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. So people, on behalf of justice, because we're over an hour, and behalf of Operation Rock, this is my story. This is what actually happened to me. This is the truth of my situation. It's not harassment when you tell the truth. It's not slander if you write things that actually happen to you, and it's not defamation if you speak out against things that actually happened to you that were true. Courtney Chase lied to me. Courtney Chase conspired with Mckenzie, Upshaw, and the Staten Island District Attorney's Office to bar me from domestic violence resources that I was legally entitled to as the actual trial-ordered victim of a domestic violence dispute with Francina Evans. Francina Evans was never the victim. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office was unethical and unjust for making her the victim after a conviction just so they could come after her innocent black boyfriend, and they're going to answer for it. On behalf of Justice and Operation Rock people, I'm Clayton, and I'm a victim advocate. This is my story. I fight injustice because I was unjustly done. I was wronged by the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, and until they take action against my offender, until they impose some type of discipline against the people who lied to me about that order, and until they grant me financial compensation for what they did to me, I'm on their ass, people. And I'm not going to stop because I know they're guilty. I know they did this, people. I just showed you recordings that verify everything I've been saying and every word I wrote in that post about Courtney Chase, people. She knew I was the victim, and she fucking lied so she could continue to lock me out of the domestic violence resources so I couldn't tell the truth about what the office of the Staten Island District Attorney's Office did to me. They won't arrest Francina Evans because arresting her for falsely reporting me grants me legal proof that it happened and that they had to acknowledge it. So what they keep doing is they let her out the back door and dismiss her cases, knowing she falsified information on me, and that's why they had to dismiss my case. People, how is that a just office? How is that an office that's truly for the people? Don't believe the lies you watch on social media. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office, controlled by Michael Mann, is corrupt and systemically racist. And I, Clayton Howard, am the proof that that is the case. Look into my federal complaint, which will be posted onto this website. Read it. Read what happened and verify it towards the stories, documents, and information and recordings I'm showing you. And you tell me if I don't have an action against the Staten Island District Attorney. I most certainly do. Michael McMahon, you violated my civil rights. And pursuant to 42 United States Code 1981, 1983, 1985, and 1986, you are liable for damages to me, and you're going to pay for it. This is not a threat. This is a promise. You owe me justice. My offender violated me. She falsely reported me and got me maliciously prosecuted by your office not once, but twice. And just because you want to protect the image of the office and the fact that you honored a liar, you won't prosecute her. So I'm going to prosecute you in the court of public opinion by exposing as much as I can about the corruption within your office until you're forced to acknowledge the victim that you destroyed. I was a victim. I have an order of protection and I have rights. And Michael McMahon, you were wrong for what you did to me. And I'm not going to stop until I prove you did it. On behalf of a mother who loved me and who was a true person of God, I'm going to keep fighting Michael McMahon and corruption in my community of Staten Island until, guess what, people? The wheel breaks and these fuckers learn that they can't violate the civil rights of innocent black people just because we might not have the knowledge to stop them at the time. Not every black person is lazy. Not all of us are afraid to open a book. And this fucking nigga right here wasn't scared to open a book. Excuse my language, audience, but that was for the people who want to be racist and look at me as a nigga. I can be a nigga. I'm a black man, you're right. But I'm a black man who will open a damn book and fight you if I have to. And I'm going to fight you until I prove what you did to me with the same evidence that's going to convince the people at large that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office is corrupt, is systemically racist, and creates puppet victims by violating innocent offenders for people they know. And this is what happened to me. This is the story of Clayton Howard, and it's the truth. And it's filed under a federal complaint that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office will answer for. People, again, on behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, thank you for listening. And I hope this explains a lot. I hope this explains why I continue my fight against the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, because they violated my civil rights, people. And in violating my civil rights, they